This is Qtv News and I am Jenna Basonko. Thanks for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. Stakeholders of local government institutions gathered for the validation of a finance and audit draft bill that aims to broaden and enhance the revenue base of councils and also ensure greater accountability to local people. Representatives from across the security sector gathered on Thursday for a one-day forum on advancing human resource management reform in the sector. The second witness to appear at the TRRC on Wednesday, Major Yaya Dabo, has confessed that he was a part of Ndur Cham-led coup in 2006, after which he was arrested and incarcerated. The TRRC on Thursday had the testimony of Abduddin, who accused Lantombong Tamba of pursuing him and other Gambian asylum seekers to Senegal after the failed 2006 Ndur Cham-led coup. In international news, World Toilet Day is commemorated each year on the 19th November to raise awareness of the 4.2 billion people living without access to safely managed sanitation. In sports news, the Gambia Football Federation has refuted claims made by the Gabon Football Federation that Gambian authorities mistreated their players at the airport during the return leg of their AFCON Group D qualifier. Gambia is among the teams gearing up for the qualification rounds of the 2021 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations tournament in Senegal. Those were the main headlines, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you for joining us. Now, stakeholders of local government institutions are gathered for the validation of a finance and audit draft bill that aims to broaden and enhance the revenue base of councils and also ensure greater accountability to local people. Momodu Lamin Choi has the rest of that.
Stakeholders from local government institutions are validating the 2020 Local Government Finance and Audit Bill after a review process geared towards improving on the 2004 Finance and Audit Act. According to its lead consultant, the review covered institutions and individuals involved in the administration of local government, and that the results is a true reflection of the consultative process.
In order to appreciate how the current Act has worked or not worked and implementation challenges, we also reviewed related legislation, regulations and policies dealing with revenue collection and public funds management to identify gaps and overlaps. Additionally, we also looked at some councils' audited financial statements and even management letters.
The bill is under the remit of the Ministry for Lands and Regional Government and is part of the ministry's drive towards updating and improving the policies and acts to match with present realities at the municipal and council levels.
Councils are facing lots of challenges because we have been using the old rate, and I think things have changed now. Because if you check, for example, the price of cement for the past 5 years or for the past 10 years is different from now. So I think it is very important for us to review the Financial and Audit Act so that at least some of the tariffs can be adjusted to suit the present generation.
There is an expectation that the bill will address challenges relating to finance and audit at local government institutions, and that it will update and improve how councils manage revenue and the resources they are allocated by central government.
Revenue that the councils are collecting, some of the revenue base, their revenues are not captured in the Finance and Audit Act, the current one. So these have been increased, and you know that the councils cannot function without the required revenue. So, and this has to be by law, so it has to be captured somewhere so that it can be able to be enforced. And also, if we look at the financial support from the government, that is the subvention from government, how it comes to the council, how council use it, this relationship between the three parties, that is the council, government, and the people, is also being reinforced in the new bill to be able to help the system to function effectively.
When the bill is successfully enacted, local government authorities can look forward to exercising financial autonomy that they believe will help them effectively mobilize and manage resources to carry out meaningful developments for their residents.
Many councils complain that their revenue bases have been impeded over time with government departments such as GT Board, Gambia Livestock, etc. What the grants do is they give a support to the councils. I wouldn't call it compensation, but support that has not been forthcoming for many years that will allow us to be able to implement projects that directly impact the lives of our communities.
The United Nations Development Programme, in complementing government's efforts, sponsored the successful drafting of the 2020 Finance and Audit Bill through the Land and Regional Government Ministry. The outcome of this validation workshop is to come up with a final draft of the bill reflecting the views of stakeholders. Mohamed Lamin Choy, Qtv News.
Representatives from across the security sector gathered on Thursday for a one-day forum on advancing human resource management reform in the sector. Aliou Cisse has the rest of that.
The event is organized by the Office of National Security in collaboration with the Geneva Center for Security Sector Governance, DCAF, meant to consult and review the implications of the constitutional review process on the structures, approaches, values and policies for human resource and personnel management across the Gambian security sector. Retired Colonel Modu Baji, the National Security Advisor, said the forum is important as the issue of right-sizing in the security sector is high on the government's agenda.
This workshop, ladies and gentlemen, marks an important milestone in the security sector reform as we move towards making significant changes in our security sector reform, particularly the contentious component called right sizing, which we intend to do across the board, meaning across the security sector. We are all aware that strengthening human resource management system is indeed crucial and often even fundamental element where elements of the security sector are introduced to professionalism and are ensured that we have effective reform of the security in any context.
Pansau Nyasi, DCAF country coordinator, said the event forms part of the ongoing discussions on the security sector reform process linked to the overall constitutional review process. Strengthening human resource management, as highlighted in the 2017 assessment and the National Security Policy and Strategy, he said, are very critical and important considerations while embarking on security sector reform.
Therefore, it remains a very critical component of the entire security sector reform, and therefore it must be discussed and it must be understood so that when some of the proposed changes, because there are some important changes that are being suggested in the delayed draft constitution, and we don't know what will happen with those changes, whether they are going to go through or not. But what is important is even though looking at them in the document, they sound very good, they sound very innovative, but then coming to practice, it's another issue altogether. It's a different ball game. And it is when you want to implement that you will now start to realize some of the challenges that you will be faced with. And therefore, that's why we thought it necessary, from DICA perspective, in collaboration with ONS, that it's important that we have all the stakeholders. I want to believe that most of us who are here are either from the admin departments or the HR department of the respective institutions, so that we discuss this critically and then we get to understand it.
This is the second forum in 2 days relating to security sector reform organized by DCAF and Office of National Security to engage the security sector for an effective and inclusive reform process. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The second witness to appear at the TRRC, Major Yaya Dabo, has confessed that he was part of the Nur Cham-led coup in 2006, after which he was arrested and incarcerated. Babu Karsi has the rest of that story.
Major Yaya Dabo recalled the March 2006 abortive coup, which he said was revealed to him by Wasa Kamara and later by coup leader Nur Cham. According to Major Dabo, his responsibility was to attack the armory and get weapons to arm the soldiers taking part in the coup. When their plan failed, the witness said he decided not to flee because he was worried about the repercussions on his family. Dabo says he was arrested and taken to Mile 2 prisons before being taken to the NIA to face a panel of investigators who tortured him.
Somebody just took me from behind. I fell on my stomach. Then the steez and the old type of material started beating raining on my body.
Jedo buso narna ka kumase ka kanambalo kan lipa balo nyasi obenya we kamunta sanji jio ka jolankang.
Musa Jammeh intervened.
Jedo Musa Jammeh narna dabula ko kono.
He said, wait.
Akoy alibatu.
Don't you know this man is going on TV by tomorrow?
Akoy ko falmalo nyim kata television do sama.
So just be careful.
Alal hakilol.
Then I was made to kneel down again.
Jedo inarana nyoy ndin kumbali ngola kotake.
And further questions started coming again.
Dabo said he was also to make a confession on state TV so that President Jammeh would then grant them clemency. After doing so out of fear, the witness said that's when things got worse for him.
I just heard the knock on my left eye, whether it's still gone, but whatever, I don't even know. And I fell immediately on my stomach. And I told them, you've broken my eye. And Musa rose up. Hey, wait. He said, please, Dabo, sit down. So I sat down. This eye closed. Then it started bleeding all over.
Dabo says he was taken to the office of then Minister of Justice, Edu Gomez, and promised his freedom in return for testifying against the other arrested officers, including Sajo Fofana. Following his refusal to comply with the state demand, Dabo said he was beaten severely on several times, nearly losing his sight in one eye. He was then brought before the High Court, but later court-martialed and jailed. He was pardoned on 22nd July 2015 by the ex-President Jammeh after serving 9 years in jail. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now, the TRRC on Thursday heard from testimony of Abduddin, a former civil servant who fled to Senegal in 2006 after he was accused of being part of the failed Ndur Cham-led coup. Dean accused Lantombong Tamba of following him and other Gambian asylum seekers in Senegal in an attempt to lure them back. Babakar C again.
According to Abduddin, while on a trip in Kenya, he met a friend called Aliou Job who told him that Ndur Cham was planning to stage a coup d'etat, which, if successful, he, Aliou Job, would be the president. Mr. Dean said this was how he was aware and became part of the coup plot. When the coup failed, the witness said he left the Gambia for a government mission in Guinea-Bissau. While in Bissau, the witness said he was informed that Aliou Job and a Marabu had been arrested and appeared on television to confess in the names of people involved in the coup.
When I was given this information at the meeting, like I said, that is when my walls started crashing down. I know now I'm in trouble.
Abduddin said he immediately left Bissau and fled to Senegal. He alleged that the Gambia NIA went to his house and took his 2 vehicles, and that an NIA officer was stationed at his house to monitor in case he came back. The witness said he spent 32 months in Senegal fearing for his life. At one point, he added, Langtombon Tamba, who was the CDS at the time, traveled to Dakar to meet the head of the refugee center. He alleged that Langtombon Tamba was trying to access the names of Gambians on asylum in Senegal.
Amba's mission was to find out from Madam Anne the list of Gambians who are there, because they are the one giving them asylum or whatever. He need to know the list, because these are people who ran away from the Gambia. They did something bad or whatever to Yaya Jammeh. So I guess they want to get them.
The witness said he was lucky to be granted asylum and left Senegal for America, where he lived until the change of government in 2016. Mr. Dean says his 2 vehicles and his land were never returned to him, However, he admitted to the commission that the government have compensated him for illegal termination of his service. Babu Karsi, Qtv News.
The Small Ruminant Production Enhancement Project under the Ministry of Agriculture has signed a contract with the International Livestock Research Institute to develop a livestock master plan value chain for the Gambia. Ajibintu Drama has the rest of that.
This is an inception meeting with various stakeholders and the International Livestock Research Institute consultant to discuss and report on the planned implementation arrangements, to take stock and find a more doable method for a broader Gambian livestock sector, specifically focusing on small ruminant production. Small ruminants are predominantly sheep and goats. The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Agriculture, Ibrahim Sisao, emphasized bringing back the glory of supporting the small ruminant business. He expressed delight at developments and encouraged stakeholders to put in more efforts to make this project succeed.
I'm hopeful that this particular plan, given the way we are going about it, will not only give us a good direction, but also the sustainability aspect will be highlighted, and then so that come after the project, it will be integrated into our system and we'll be able to continue from where the project ends.
The team leader of the International Livestock Research Institute, Dr. Carl Rich, gave a brief explanation of the Gambia small ruminant sector.
As Dr. Mahmood, I think, very rightly mentions, the Livestock Master Plan is very much built for the country. It's to develop with stakeholders a set of an empirical analysis to understand where the opportunities and where some of the constraints are, and to work with stakeholders to develop a roadmap for implementation. And so we see this as something that's not just a consultancy or a research project, but something that is developed and owns with you to improve the sector.
Participants raised various concerns, including how to intensify the livestock industry for better national development, and made emphasis and elaboration on how to address the challenges faced by the sector. Honorable Momodu S. Sise, the chairperson of the National Assembly Member Select Committee on Agriculture, explained why this was important for the Gambia.
We have seen, whether it's true or not, this chicken is being injected from half a kilo, it gets to 3 kilos within a few seconds. Whether these are true or not, doctors are here to confirm this. But all these things should remind us that it is high time now for Gambia to take over what we eat.
Suleiman Kebe from the Islamic Development Bank had this to say.
I'm very pleased that we are today in this session to start the process. A process that will not only give us a master plan, but will also start with a baseline study that will capture where we are today, so that as the project being implemented, we know how progress is being done.
Dr. Carl Rich also stated that COVID-19 has impacted the small ruminant sector, both in the tourism sector and food expenditure. Isabel Bolton-Weck, the program leader of the Livelihood, Gender and Impact program at the International Livestock Research Institute, thanked partners for their diligent input and gave an assurance that their concerns will be considered. The Small Ruminant Project Master Plan is expected to be implemented within 5 years. Ajibintu Drame, Qtv News.
We will take another short commercial break, and when we come back, we will take a look at international and sports news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now in international news, World Toilet Day is commemorated each year on the 19th November. The day also celebrates toilets and raises awareness of the 4.2 billion people living without access to safely managed sanitation. This story by Loli M. Camara is narrated by Ajibintu Drame.
International days are occasions to educate the public on issues of concern, to mobilize political will and resources to address global problems, and to celebrate and reinforce achievements of humanity. World Toilet Day is also about taking action to tackle the global sanitization crisis and achieve Sustainable Development Goal 6, which is water and sanitization for all by 2030. The theme for this year is Sustainable Sanitization and Climate Change, as climate change accelerates flood, drought, and rising sea levels are threatening sanitization systems, from toilets to septic tanks to treatment plants. Flood water can contaminate wells used for drinking water, or flooding might damage toilets and spread human waste into communities and food crops, causing deadly and chronic diseases. Everyone must have sustainable sanitization alongside clean water and hand-washing facilities to help protect and maintain our health security and stop the spread of deadly infectious disease such as COVID-19, cholera, and typhoid. Research shows that toilets can help us fight climate change. Wastewater and sludge from toilets contain valuable water, nutrients, and energy. Sustainable sanitization system make productive use of water to safely boost agriculture and reduce and capture emissions for greener energy. The next stage is treatment and self-disposal. Self-reuse of human waste helps save water, reduces and captures greenhouse gas emissions for energy production, and can provide agriculture with a reliable source of water and nutrients. According to UN data, 40% or 3 billion people of the global population live without basic hand-washing facilities, with soap and water available at home. And around 297,000 children under 5, or more than 800 every day, die annually from diarrheal diseases due to poor hygiene, poor sanitation, or unsafe drinking water. And globally, 80% of the wastewater generated by energy flows back into the ecosystem without being treated or reused. While substantial progress has been made in increasing access to clean drinking water and sanitization, billions of people still lack these basic services. Worldwide, 1 in 3 people do not have access to safe drinking water. 2 out of 5 people do not have a basic hand-washing facility with soap and water, and more than 673 million people still practice open defecation. In the Gambia, a national consultative meeting with stakeholders to end open defecation was organized by the Water Hygiene and Sanitization Unity under the Ministry of Health. Open defecation is when people defecate in the open, for example, in fields, forests, bushes, lakes, and rivers, rather than using a toilet. The practice has dropped in the Gambia for the past few years, but it's still practiced in some communities. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
Now on to some sports news. The Gambia Football Federation has refuted claims made by the Gabon Football Federation that Gambian authorities mistreated their players at the airport during the return leg of their AFCON Group D qualifier. Mamadou Gajaga has the rest of that.
At a press conference, the GFF president, Lamin Kaba Bajo, says the Gabon delegation refused to follow the COVID-19 rules at the Banjul International Airport and failed to communicate their arrival time. Bajo also claimed that the Gabon FA had changed their travel schedule 3 times.
I also want to be on record to inform you that neither their advanced party team, nor their ambassador or their ministers' arrival details were communicated to us. Those, we are not aware of them. Them arriving into the country. All we know that they were on the main list, but when they were arriving, we never knew. The ambassador came into the country without notice of the GFF. The minister came into the country without notice to the GFF.
On the issue of the Gabon and Arsenal star player Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who posted pictures on social media of their players and officials sleeping on the airport floor, Bajo says the health officials at the airport have confirmed that the visiting delegation refused to show their PCR COVID-19 test certificates, which is a requirement at the airport.
The information we received from the health officials at the airport when they arrived, like any other passenger, you must provide or produce to the health official a certificate to show that you are COVID-19 negative, which should not be earlier than 72 hours for any traveler, which they refused to hand over there. I understand they were just holding this here. These are our players, and the other folder, these are for the officials. That's an insult to our sovereignty, it's an insult to our laws, because it never happened.
Bajo further added that the Gambian team were subjected to 2 COVID-19 tests in Gabon, one conducted at the airport while the other was at the hotel. He says the Gambian delegation complied with the regulations and was expecting the Gabon delegation to do likewise.
Our first batch that arrived in Libreville were tested at the airport. And they insisted they were going to test the whole delegation there. If they should go home and make arrangements with their public health officials to make sure that the second batch that came will be tested at the hotel, that's their own prerogative. We wish we had that opportunity from them to give us that opportunity also to have that plan.
CAF's disciplinary committee has opened an investigation into the claims made by the Gabon Football Federation, and CAF has been able to report that all the AFCON qualifiers went ahead successfully thanks to the observance by all of the federation's COVID-19 protocols. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Gambia is among the teams gearing up for the qualification rounds of the 2021 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations tournament in Senegal. QTV will bring reports from the tournament, and this report tells us about all the event.
It is a chance for future stars to emerge and also ultimately make a bid to qualify for the Under-20 World Cup, scheduled for the 20th May to the 12th of June 2021 in Indonesia. This qualification tournament from the 20th to the 29th November will decide which teams will take part in the 2021 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations finals to be played in Mauritania during February and March 2021. 12 teams will qualify to play in the final tournament, including Mauritania, the host. Players born 1st January 2001 or later are eligible to participate in the competition. The qualifying competition is split into regional competitions, with the teams entering the qualifying tournament of their respective zone. The tournaments were originally scheduled and most are going ahead, in spite of problems due to the COVID-19 pandemic. North Zone, hosted by Tunisia between the 15th to the 27th of December 2020. West A Zone, WAFU, hosted by Senegal between the 20th to the 29th of November 2020. West B Zone, WAFU, hosted by Togo between the 18th of November to 2nd December 2020. Central Zone, hosted by Equatorial Guinea in the beginning of October or mid-October 2020. Central East Zone, SECAFA, hosted by Tanzania between the 23rd of November to 5th December 2020. South Zone, COSAFA, hosted by Mauritius between the 3rd to the 13th of December 2020. The Gambia will take part in the 7-team tournament scheduled for Senegal alongside the host, and in alphabetical order, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Sierra Leone and Mauritania host for the final tournament. Liberia should be taking part in the Senegal tournament, but in September of this year were hit with a $5,000 fine for withdrawing from the 2019 Under-17 and Under-20 Nations Cup qualifiers. Cape Verde are the other team from the region missing, and according to CAF, did not register to take part in the tournament. Host Senegal, who finished 2019 total Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations as runners-up, are joined in Group A by Sierra Leone and the Gambia. Reigning African champions Mali are top seed in Group B alongside Guinea-Bissau, Guinea and Mauritania, who will host the 2021 Under-20 Cup of Nations. The top 2 teams of each group qualify for the semi-finals. The 2021 African Under-20 Cup of Nations will be the 16th edition of the African Under-20 Cup of Nations. 7 scheduled tournaments were cancelled for various reasons. It is a biennial international youth football tournament organized by the Confederation of African Football (CAF) for players aged 20 and below. In September 2018, it was decided that the next tournament would be hosted by Mauritania. The Mauritania tournament will be the first edition to have expanded to 12 teams instead of 8. The top 4 teams of the tournament will qualify for the 2021 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia as the CAF representatives. Keep watching QTV as we will bring you regular reports throughout the tournament. Mamudu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end this news bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. Stakeholders of local government institutions gathered for the validation of a finance and audit draft bill that aims to broaden and enhance the revenue base of councils and also ensure greater accountability to local people. Representatives from across the security sector gathered on Thursday for a one-day forum on enhancing human resource management reform in the sector. The second witness to appear at the TRRC on Wednesday, Major Yaya Dabo, has confessed that he was a part of the Nur Cham-led coup in 2006, after which he was arrested and incarcerated. The TRRC on Thursday had the testimony of Abduddin, who accused Lantombong Tamba of following him or the Gambian asylum seekers in Senegal after the 2006 failed Nur Cham-led coup. In international news, World Toilet Day is commemorated each year on the 19th November to raise awareness of the 4.2 billion people living without access to safely managed sanitation. In sports news, the Gambia Football Federation has refuted claims made by the Gambia Football Federation that Gambian authorities mistreated their players at the Banjul International Airport during the return leg of their AFCON Group D qualifier. Gambia is among the teams gearing up for the qualification rounds of the 2021 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations tournament taking place in Senegal. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Join us at 10 for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.